Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Elise. I hope you're all doing so good today. We are going to be doing my last episode of Now or Never for the year of 2025. This will be my 6th episode, which is what I was shooting for. I had that loosely in my mind that I wanted to do 6 for the year, which meant like 1 every other month or so. I'm thinking we're gonna make it before the end of the year. I'm starting to film this near the end of November, so I have a month to try and get these books read and get this vlog up. So I figured for the last one of the year what I would do, and I floated this idea in my last episode of Now or Never that for my last one of the year, I was thinking of doing all of the shelves that I have pulled from before, but selecting from the books that didn't get picked the first time around for their specific episode. And that's what I'm going to be doing. So I have all of the slips of paper. I've saved all the ones that I have not selected. They're all in the bowl. Now, I've just put them in one bowl because I'm not gonna worry about separating them out between audiobook or physical. We're just gonna select 2 from here. I am much more nervous for this one because there's so many choices. Normally, when I'm picking a shelf to do an episode on, I can sort of get a gauge of what's on that shelf and if I'm willing to read the majority of what's there. And that's how I've been doing it so far, is like, okay, do I feel prepared to read mostly anything here? Fair enough. But this one, I do not feel prepared to read anything that comes up off of these shelves. So we're gonna see how this one goes. I would either want some true genre fiction or some literary fiction. My appetite for contemporary commercial fiction is very low. So I'm just hoping it's not one of those. So fingers crossed. Okay, we're gonna select 2 books. Let's pull the first one. I've already judged them a lot, but let me just push them around a bit. Okay, I'm gonna take one from the bottom. Okay, I have one. Let's see. What does that say? Can you tell? Okay, this is not bad. So this is Before. It's by Carmen Boullosa. I don't know who the translator is. I'll check it in a second. It's a deep vellum book. I have read and loved Carmen Boullosa in the past. This is the better one to get off of my TBR. There is a second Carmen Boullosa that I have technically already started before and was really struggling with it. Thank God it isn't that one. So that's the first book. I will grab it in a second. Let me pick the second book. And that Before is also short, so that is a blessing. Okay, I have one. Let me set this bowl down. It's a long title. What is that? The House with the Golden Door. Oh, okay. I've already read this. So this is the second book in the Wolf Den trilogy. I read the rest of that trilogy this year. The House of the Golden Door is already complete, so we can take that one off. Ooh, that scared me with a long title. Okay, so let's pick again. There are probably going to be others that I have read in here because I do try to read off my shelves. Okay, I have 2 stuck together. Okay, we have one. We have one. Okay, I'm nervous all over again. Another, is that upside down? Sing Unburied, Sing. Okay, whoa. Okay, let me go grab them. I'll be right back. All right, we have the 2 books. They match. This has been happening in my Now or Never episodes, that the books match each other really well. So let's talk about Before first, since I pulled it first. Like I said, this is by Carmen Boullosa. It's translated from the Spanish by Peter Bush, and it's published by Deep Vellum. If you've been on my channel, you know that I absolutely adored The Book of Eve by Carmen Boullosa, which came out a couple of years ago. It was my favorite book of the year that I read it. As you can see, it's very short. So that actually works in my favor because I'm feeling the end of year crunch and I have so many things I need to get to before the end of the year to sort of stay on top of commitments that I've made around books. So let's see. I don't even know what this one is about. Okay. It says a profound and moving coming of age novel that explores the end of one woman's innocence in childhood. This was originally published in 1989 and it was republished by Deep Vellum. So this is the first pick. I'm actually really excited for this. I'm sure I will read this physically because I doubt there's an audiobook available for it. So that is the first one. I'm happy about that. That's exactly kind of what I'm in the mood to read, I think. And then we have Sing Unburied, Sing by Jasmyn. This one's published by Scribner, and this was much beloved when it came out. I feel like this is the book that really catapulted Jasmyn Ward into kind of mainstream bookish consciousness, mostly because it won the National Book Award the year that it came out. I have read Jasmyn Ward before, but I've actually never read her fiction. I've only read nonfiction from her. So this will be my first fiction title. This one, I'm sure there will be an audiobook available for it because it was so popular and it's old, so typically they tend to be available immediately from my library. And this one, from what I remember, is about a family living in Mississippi. I think it's got a ghost story. Yeah, it says part ghost story. So I'm not sure how that comes in. They're traveling to the Mississippi State Penitentiary. It was up for a lot of awards the year that it came out. So I'm excited that this is finally pushing me to get to it. I think both of these picks are pretty good shouts. I'm probably gonna start with Before, but I might get into both of them at the same time as well. So these are the books. Let me know what you thought of the books that I've picked, and we'll see if I end up DNFing any. If I do, I will probably pick again, but if I don't, that means I enjoyed these, so that's great. So I will catch up with you in a little bit. All right, I have an update for you all, and the update is that I have read all of Before by Carmen Boullosa. This one is translated from the Spanish by Peter Bush, and there is also an introduction, although I will warn you, if you're going to read this, read the introduction after you read the book. It's so short that I do actually think it spoils the majority of the book for you, but the introduction is a really good addition to the reading experience. Just do it after the fact. So this one, like I said before, is published by Deep Vellum, and I was really excited to get this one because I loved Carmen Boullosa's most recent English translation that came out a couple of years ago called Book of Eve, which was also published by Deep Vellum. And I had picked up a couple of her other books while I was in Texas and got to visit the Deep Vellum store because I wanted to try some other things out. Now, I was a little bit worried, and I think sadly justifiably so, that Book of Eve might be a little bit of a one-hit wonder for me with this author because the premise was so up my street. Now, this one is autobiographical, it does say that, and we're following a child narrator who is really coming of age. So it is a coming of age novel and losing her innocence. This book, like, there isn't really a plot that I could tell you, which I'm okay with normally, but this book just did not work for me. I felt like it was pretty obvious, the autobiographical elements, and for me it was pretty heavy-handed. This is one of those child narrators that does not come across as a child narrator at all. It is an adult's thoughts in a child's body, and it just never really worked. And for that, like, there was just too much that I couldn't really feel immersed in the story and feel like it was that this piece was like believable as a piece of fiction. There were some one-liners in here that I really enjoyed, but overall, the only reasons I finished this book are, one, it's very short, so it wasn't taking me that long anyway, and two, I've read her in the past and really loved her, and three, and maybe the reason that most kept me going with it, is that in December, I had to catch up on a lot of other reading, and this was one of the only translated books that was on my TBR. One of my reading goals, if you know, is to read at least one translated book a month. Normally that's not a challenge for me, but in December it was, and normally December is the hardest month for me because I'm so behind on stuff. So I wanted to finish this so I could make sure I completed that goal. So this one I would not recommend because it's so short. I didn't feel like I needed to check in with you before that, and I was pushing through because I wasn't liking it. So sadly, this is a miss for me, but I will say this is Carmen Boullosa's debut novel. So I'm still holding out hope that some of her other works will be a good fit for me. She has some very well lauded nonfiction out as well, mainly about colonization, and I do want to pick those up. So not a fit for me, would not recommend, sadly, but it is completed. It will be leaving my house because I will be unhauling it. So it will go to another home that hopefully will like it better. So that is Before. And then next up we have Sing Unburied Sing. I have just started this and I am doing this on audio. We'll kind of like tandem, I'm going back and forth a bit. The audio production is really well done. We are getting a couple different narrators so far, although I believe as the book goes further on, we're gonna get some additional POVs. We start in the POV of, oh gosh, what is his name? Jojo, that's his name. And he is a young boy. It's actually interesting in comparison to this because this child narrator feels a lot more realistic. He is still maybe like slightly wise and insightful beyond his age, but it feels much more believable for this character. And he is living with his grandparents, although his mother is still kind of in and out as well. And he is a very intuitive child and can see spirits or ghosts. So there's a ghost story element to this book. I'm finding all really intriguing. The writing is really evocative. Jasmyn Ward does such a good job of setting the scene, and I'm really able to visualize what the farm looks like that they're living on. So I'm enjoying this so far and excited to continue with it. So I will check back in with you once I've read more of this, but that is the update for now, and I will see you in just a second. Hello, we are back, and I'm going to give you an update on Sing Buried Sing. I've since finished this, so it has been completed, and I have mixed thoughts. Not mixed thoughts in like my overall enjoyment or the quality of it. I think it is a really well written book, but I just can't quite tell why I didn't absolutely love it. And it's feeling hard for me to pinpoint down like what is keeping it from being a 5-star, if I put it that way. So I think I told you about the introduction of this book. We are following a family mainly through the eyes of Jojo. He's like a preteen or a teenage boy. We get perspectives from his mom, who is named Leonie, and we also get, I think we get his grandpa's perspective once, and then we get a ghost's perspective. And there's a couple things going on in this novel. Firstly, we're getting the family dynamics, and we start to understand very early on that Jojo is essentially being raised by his grandfather. His grandmother seems to be like terminally ill and is in the house, but sort of confined to her bedroom. And her mother is not really interested in him very much and interested in taking care of him, and resents him in a lot of ways because Jojo, her son, is a better parent to her daughter, Jojo's younger sister, than she is. So we get like shown a lot of Jojo taking care of Kayla and his resentment to Leonie for her lack of care for Kayla. Not for himself really, but lack of care for her sake. And then Leonie resents Jojo for being a bit better parent than her. So there's kind of this back and forth between them. But all of it is internal. They never really talk to each other about that. And then we get Jojo's relationship with his grandfather, who is the most important relationship in his life. And his grandfather is really trying to instill in him a sense of right from wrong. And the ghost story element comes in from his grandfather's time in prison. And this is a narrative thread that we end up following throughout the story, where the grandfather is recollecting his time in prison and something that happened while he was there that I will leave a mystery because you discover that near the end of the novel. The other character that I have not talked about yet that is important to this story is Jojo's father, Leonie's boyfriend, kind of. And at the start of the novel, his name is Michael. He is in prison when the novel begins, and Leonie is really desperately in love with him. They have this kind of like star-crossed lovers vibe going on with them, and Michael gets out of prison in the book, and we kind of get to see how he is incorporated back into the family's life. And again, like Michael and Leonie very much like selfishly infatuated with one another to the point where they like don't really care about anything else outside of them and their love story. There's a lot of interesting elements to this, and again, like, it's well written, and something just kept me from feeling like it was spectacular. And I know so many people loved this at the time, and I kept thinking, like, if I had read this when it initially came out, would I have liked it more? I think probably. It originally came out in 2017, and I think at the time this would have felt a little bit more original of a story. I feel like I've read a lot of stuff that is dealing with similar themes, of which I would say the themes are dysfunctional family dynamics, the prison system, the afterlife, and death and substance abuse. And again, like, there are interesting pieces in this, but as a whole, it just did not maintain my interest the whole time. So yeah, I know that's an unsatisfying review. At least I feel like that's an unsatisfying review. So I apologize for that. If you have read this and you have thoughts about it, please let me know, because that might help me make more sense of my own feelings. Again, I thought this was really good. It just wasn't a book that I absolutely loved. The other thing I should say though is this is technically the third in a very loose trilogy of companion novels that Jasmyn Ward has put out, and this I think is the last one. Again, I don't think you need to read them in order. That might have given me more like emotional depth potentially. You tell me if you've read the other ones in the series. So yeah, well written. I will definitely read more from Jasmyn Ward, but just something that didn't quite bring it all together for me. And we have officially read 2 books for this vlog. I feel like this vlog was a short one. Kind of got jammed into all of the holiday stuff. And you're not going to see this vlog, I think, probably until February, even though I read both of these books in December. So we finished out a year of the Now or Never series. And overall, I think it's been really fun for me to do. I'm definitely going to continue it on in 2026. It has been a good way for me to get through some of the backlisted titles that I have, which is exactly what I wanted to use the project for. But I do think in 2026 I am going to be a little bit more brutal with my DNFs and just go through some more quickly, because there have been a number of times where I've sort of known it was going to be a 3-star by the end, and typically if I wasn't filming I would probably put it down, but because I'm filming it I feel like I want to give it a little bit more of a shot. But we're gonna go with my usual reading style into this series next year and just put things down when I know I'm going to want to read other books more and like actually fill my reading time with something that I have the potential to love and not just like. So we'll see where it goes, but thank you as always for watching. If you have read either of these books, let me know what you thought about them, particularly this one, but also let me know if you're interested in reading any of these, and we will see each other again in the next video.